What's up YouTube? Today's video in my perspective will be quite important. I will talk about the grading premium nowadays and why I believe that can actually change in the future. That being said, if in the end you end up enjoying the video, please do not forget to give it a like, I would appreciate quite a lot. That being said, let's go into my disclaimer. No financial advice, and it will be a very short one. English is not my main language, any types or mispronunciations, I'm sorry. So, let's start with the elephant on the room, and I think you guys would agree with me, grading situation is quite bad. I end up choosing three companies, SGC, PSA and BGS. All of those are quite good in certain things and quite bad in certain things. And I'm going with those three because they are the major players in the market and I don't think there is a debate on that, okay? Let's start with BGS. One thing I love about BGS is the subgrades and I love the slab. Apart from that, I believe they grade very consistent and I appreciate that from them. What I do not like, look, there is a lot of things I do not like about BGS. First of all, no communication. Who knows what's going on Beckett right now? And that's quite tough. Apart from that, there is a controversy with fakes Cristiano Ronaldo rookies, which I thought end up dealing with the situation quite bad, but that goes into communication. They end up completely going to almost a blackout, you know what I mean? They basically do not talk about that. I do not get why. They end up grading a sticker that is that is a fake one. It is what it is. That happens, you know what I mean? PSA in the past end up grading fake stickers. SGC, I'm pretty sure the same. The problem with that is not admitting the error, is not talking about the mistake. So in that sense, it is what it is, and I believe they are losing market share right now because, like I said, SGC is performing quite well in terms of getting cards into the market, and Beckett, like I said again, who knows what's going on. So PSA, there is a lot of things to like about PSA, same like BGS. The slab is quite good in terms of technology. It's probably the best slab in the market. I love the look of the slab too. I prefer Beckett to be totally honest, but I love PSA too on that front. And apart from that, they are actually quite investing a lot on technology, not only for the slab, but even for helping the graders grading cards. And that's something that I believe is quite important and will be crucial for the future of grading. So there is, like I said, a lot of things to love about PSA. And the most important thing is the premium that a PSA slab can get you in the market. A PSA 6 for Beckett, a PSA 6 for a PSA 6 sells more than a BGS 6, I'm sorry. And if we start talking about the BGS 9.5 versus a PSA 10, things get even crazier. So, but like I said, there is a lot of things that I do not like about PSA, and one of the main things is grading standards are not clear nowadays. If you send a card that you believe is a 10, do not get shocked if you end up getting a 7 or a 6, and this is the reality right now. I don't know what's going on with PSA in terms of standards, but one thing I can guarantee you for sure, at least guarantee for my experience, if that makes sense, is in the past was way easier to grade with them than there is nowadays. I know they don't admit or they do not make that official basically, but look, everyone knows that at this point is quite difficult to get PSA 10s right now. You can argue if that's a bad thing or not, but one thing you cannot argue with me is quite frustrating for people that are grading right now when they look at 10s that are not 10s right now that end up grading in the past. This creates a lot of pressure in the PSA market in my perspective. Another slab is the SGC. Again, this slab is a hit or miss. I think with white borders looks amazing, but when it comes to a darker card, a blue card, a black card, I do not like it. Personal preference, of course. But I would say the slab is quite good in general. What is the problem with SGC is the market. The secondary market is okay at best. Okay, sometimes you try to sell a BGS, not a BGS, a SGC 9.5, and sells for less than a PSA 9, and that's of course very frustrating if you know your card is actually quite clean. You can look at this in a different perspective. You can say those are a great buys, and I would agree with that. And like I said, a lot of things to talk about SGC in terms of labeling for soccer. They are probably the best, and I appreciate that because look, even in terms of communication, they are always top notch with me. So for me, they have my respect. So all of those three grading companies have a lot of great things, and all of those three grading companies have bad things. So Moving on, and I don't think that's debatable. I know this is a lot of text, but this will go quite fast. I never totally understood the grading premium, and even nowadays I do not understand that very well. And keep one thing in mind: I collect for more than 20 years, and I've been in this grading game, let's say grading game, for I would say 6-7 years, a little bit more, a little bit less. I don't remember exactly, but for quite long time. First of all, the concept of having the card protected is something I like and makes the item more collectible. And even more important, I end up not putting that on the test, the card getting authentication. That's super important. In the other hand, paying in some cases 20x, for example in soccer, I will share that example with you very soon. A Messi 2006 a PSA 10 end up selling for more than a PSA 9 30x, 13x, I'm sorry, which is quite crazy to think about, and is something that most likely I will never totally understood, okay, and understand in this case. If you are talking about perfect and standard technology, I would understand, okay. So if a machine tells for sure this is a PSA 10 or PSA 9, and this is all across the board with all grading companies, I would understand and I would accept, it is what it is. Technology can have flaws, but way less than a human. But again, when I'm trusting my card to a human that have flaws like any human, I would never totally get it. I can say this for sure. I have a lot of PSA 10s that they will get 9s every day, and probably vice versa. I'm not sure about BGS, and I would say this. In general, I believe BGS grades quite well, but PSA and SGC, in my experience, they are grading way more hard right now, way more tough. Is not even comparable in my experience. This creates pressures that I believe in the future could be really bad. Slowly, but the market is already paying more for new slabs than old slabs, especially in the case of PSA 10s, old PSA 10s versus new PSA 10s. This will create a unfair space in my perspective. Some people will get mad because their 10 is not a real 10, and in the other hand, people that are getting 8s and 9s will get very frustrated because in the past that card had a shot at 10 and right now is an 8. So of course this is quite bad and will put a lot of pressure in the market in my perspective. Apart from that, every grading company is getting new graders every day. I've been grading cards for years. Normally in the past I had a good idea what grades I should expect. Right now I have no idea. Sometimes I look at the card and I think it's a PSA 10, I get a PSA 6. Sometimes I look at the card I think it's a PSA 7, I got a PSA 9. So it is what it is right now for me. That's why I said the standards on PSA are quite bad. And keep one thing in mind, I'm better at grading right now than I was in the past. And in the past, of course, there will always be outliers, even if I believe I know what I'm looking, but very few. Right now is completely a joke with BGS, and I have to say this, so this is a props to BGS on that sense. I still get very close to what I expect on most of my cards. We are trusting your cards to graders that have almost zero experience, but guess what? 100 hours tutorials. And think about that, okay? Look, I have been grading cards for 6-7 years, and I'm trusting my card to a person that is at the shop, let's say, 2 months. So things get a little bit tricky, things get a little bit crazy, and we are putting such a premium for such a relative thing, basically. So it is what it is. This is my perspective on the market. Keep in mind that I'm European, so maybe my perspective is very different than an American collector. It is what it is. My experience is this, and you can share with me your perspective. So what I believe will happen in 2-3 years, and this is the crucial part of the video. I do not believe cards are in a bubble. For me, grading is in a bubble, okay? True rarity or decent rarity. True rarity is a very true rarity is a very difficult concept to find a definition, because you can say less than 100 pop could be true rarity if the demand is crazy, but if you are a purist almost, you can tell me, no, true rarity is a card like a Baby Ruth that the pop total will be forever or potentially forever, at best 10, for example. And that's, of course, in soccer there is not a lot of cases like that, but decent rarity there is a lot of cards on that front. I will, like I said, true rarity and rarity will start performing better than condition rarity, and the historical markets tend to show that. So that's why I prefer to focus on true rarity or cards with actually some type of rarity. Again, if you don't agree to rarity, but you guys get the point, that cards that are only rare if they get a 10 or if they get a BGS 9.5. So in my perspective, true rarity is something that we all should focus going forward, because like I said, PSA 10s in my perspective, and this goes directly into the other point, PSA 10 premium will eventually go down, okay? Or at least close the gap for other grading companies, other grades. And there is exceptions on the market, like this. Typhlosion, Neogenesis first edition, a Pokemon card. There is more than 1k PSA total, but when you take a look at the 10s, there is only 11. Okay, so in that case, look, I understand there is a lot of collectors for that set, and they want to collect the set in a PSA 10, in PSA 10s, so they end up paying a crazy premium for that card. And that's an exception in the market. Another exception could be, for example, Mickey Mantle. Look, Mickey Mantle on PSA 10s are almost impossible to find. I believe the pop is 3, but when you take a look at the pop for Mickey Mantle, that card is not rare at all, but the demand makes that card so rare, even for that pop, in my perspective. In a macro perspective, that card is not rare at all, but there is so much demand. The card have some type of rarity, and the condition rarity ends up performing very well, because let's be real, 3 PSA 10s, of course, those will go for a premium, but that's are exceptions in the market. Look, sometimes certain cards, the gem mint rate is 1%, guys. If that's the case, I understand the 10x, I understand the 20x, or sometimes even more. It will depend on, every card is a card, every case is a case. But I understand that. But sometimes the gem mint rate is like 20%, 30%, and people are paying crazy premiums. That's what I do not get it totally. Not sure if in 2-3 years technology will not have a crazy impact on the grading game. In soccer, I've been seeing the grading situation getting more under control. So this is props for the community, to be fair. I'm not sure if other markets share the same trend almost as us, but right now PSA 10s are going down and PSA 9s are holding strong, and same for BGS 9.5s. I will share with you an example very soon. And I know this is anecdotal data, and I'm talking more about vintage and pre-modern. And by that, you already know that vintage especially, there is some type of true rarity in certain items. And that, like I said, true rarity, if you just go with the PSA total only 10, that does not apply to vintage, but you guys get the point. Cards that are really difficult to find, because let's be real, ultra modern cards pop sometimes go over 10k, 5k, and of course those cards are not rare at all. And like I said, let me repeat this, in soccer I've been seeing this great situation getting more under control. One of the reasons for that is the market is getting more international. So I will share something that you guys, I believe, should think about. When I started my channel, most of my viewers, I would say 90% are Americans. Right now is less than 50%, which is quite crazy to think about. I still have a lot of Americans, and I love my American viewers, but the thing is, there is a crazy influx, and I can look at my stats. I can share my stats with you in the future if you guys want. I have a lot of people from Asia, and especially from Europe. And if I do not understand the grading game, basically, at least, look, I understand the grading game. I don't understand sometimes the premium on the grading game. I suspect a lot of people coming from Asia, from Europe, will feel the same as I feel, and they will not fall into that trap, basically. And that's why I believe the market is getting a little bit more rational right now. And that potential could be good news for the market, in the sense that I believe Europe will be a big part of the market, way more than it is right now. And maybe our market will be a little bit different than, for example, NBA market, where most of collectors are in America, or even baseball, which is even a better example, okay? So I end up choosing this example. In my, of this year, a PSA 10 for this Lionel Messi, first card with Argentina, 2006, was selling for 22k. Right now, all of that card ended up crashing, but in all grades, okay, so that's not even the point. But the PSA 9 versus PSA 10, the PSA 9 ended up having 13x premium, which is quite crazy to think about. So think about this. With the money of a PSA 10, you could buy 14 PSA 9s. Think about this. With the money of the PSA 10, you could buy 14 PSA 9s, or almost 7 BGS 9.5s. And you guys know all of those three grades are quite close. If you crack all of them and you shuffle them, most likely you end up getting different results in every card, or at least in one or two. So you guys get the point why things get a little bit crazy when you take a look at perspective, basically. Sometimes people say, look, the PSA 10 sells for 20k and the PSA 9 sells for 1k. And you start thinking, wait, that's a crazy difference, because you could buy so many PSA 9s versus, you know what I mean? And guess what? If in the past you bought 14 PSA 9s instead of one PSA 10, right now you are doing much better. This is a good example of people buying the grade and not the cards, okay? You cannot tell me a collector prefer to have this instead of 14 of those, unless, like I said, there is a crazy exception in the market, like the gem mint rate is 1% or less. I would understand. It's not the case at all for these cards. And let's take a look now. The last sold for this card was 760 USD, which is a low sale, to be fair. I almost put 1k, but I want to be honest, this was actually the last sale, but I suspect this card sells around 1k right now in the markets, okay? So the last BGS 9.5 sold for 2k, and the last PSA 10 for 6.2k. One thing that you can see quite clear is this card ended up facing a big correction. That will be a different video. But let's go with the prices right now. You can see that the PSA premium, the PSA 10 premium is 8x face the PSA 9, and the 8x versus 14x is quite different. And let's take a look at the BGS premium. It's only 3x versus almost 7 on this one. So this is good news, okay? Don't get me wrong. This is actually good news. One thing that people do not understand is when there is a crazy money on the market, people they go a little bit crazy. There is a lot of manipulation, in my opinion. There is a lot of people that do not realize they are being manipulated, and they end up paying crazy amounts of money that are not that certain cards or certain grades, and let's talk a little bit more about certain grades, do not deserve it. And like I said, this in other hand, this could be a European influential in the market, a Asia influential on the market, which I believe will be an amazing thing. And to finish the video, I will share with you my plan. It's not a plan that I found today. This is a plan that I have been doing for the last couple of years. I tend to focus more in rarity than condition rarity, okay? And I again, no financial advice, but I believe you guys should do the same. You can follow me or not, you do you. But like I said, if the PSA 10 premium end up crashing, and if you are relying on that quite heavily, and certain cards make sense, like I said, but most of the cards in the market, I do not understand the premium. If the PSA 10 actually goes down, and I believe that will be a given, to be fair, you can lose a lot of money. But if you focus on rarity, I believe you will be I would say protected is a strong word, because cards in general are a very speculative asset, okay? But talking more about the micro perspective in soccer cards, I would focus on true rarity. It's very difficult to find a card in my collection with crazy high pops. For me, and full disclosure, 1k pop in soccer is already high pop, okay? It's already too much pop. I'm focusing more on ultra modern and vintage, of course. On pre-modern and vintage, I'm sorry. Forget ultra modern. I'm buying or trading into holy grail cards, or at least cards that I consider holy grails. It will be different from people to people. Sure, a PSA 10 STMS sticker will sell for more than a PSA 5, but the PSA 5 is still a difficult card to find, and a holy grail card in the market, a beautiful card to own for Lionel Messi. So take a look at this. This is a PSA 5. Looks amazing in my perspective. The PSA total is 150. 150, I'm sorry, a little bit over 100. And you can see that, again, this pop is crazy low. By the way, this is the only sticker rookie for Lionel Messi. I know there is rookie cards, but in terms of stickers, and you know stickers are a big part of the soccer culture, in terms of stickers, this is the only rookie sticker for Lionel Messi. And I would say probably the most difficult rookie for Lionel Messi to find in terms of global pop, okay? So there is a lot of things to like about this sticker. And again, I bought this PSA 5, for example, and I'm very happy with that. You can say, it's not a PSA 10. I don't care. If you are on a market like this, I would say you actually need to care about the PSA 10 versus PSA 5 because no one cares about the PSA 5 for this card. But on this market is very different. And by the way, soccer is not even a good example. When you take a look at NBA, things get a little bit crazy. People pay, look, okay, full disclosure, and this is quite funny to think about. For this PSA 5, I did not pay even 1K. It was a little bit lower than 1K. At one point, I believe right now is almost the same as I paid for this card, but at one point the base PSA 10 for Luka Doncic was selling for 1K. I paid less than 1K for this sticker. So you cannot, by the way, the pop total for that PSA 10, I'm just sharing PSA 10 total, guys, is over 17K. Guys, again, if you guys cannot see what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. This PSA total for a super iconic card, for a holy grail card in soccer, where the demand is quite high already, is very cheap when you compare with other markets. And that's, like I said, I end up choosing another example, the Pelé rookie Coleção Que Gol. Look, the PSA 1 for this card sells for 5-6K. I still believe is a great buy because this card has true rarity. You can say, but the PSA 8 will sell for way more. Yes, but you are investing in an item that no matter the grade, you still end up getting very decent money. If you go to other markets, if you rely heavily on getting a PSA 10 or is like bum or bust, you are going for a dangerous mark in my perspective. Another example is this card, the Thierry Henry rookie. The PSA total is only 32. This is for me still an amazing card to own, an amazing card to have in my collection, and a very difficult card to find, by the way. And again, the price you pay for this sometimes is the price you pay for a new ultra-modern PSA 10, and I don't see how can this not be a good buy in the long term. Like always, vintage and pre-modern are amazing markets to apply my plan, to apply this type of logic. Like I said previous, I believe soccer in particular will start closing gaps for the crazy premium in certain grades, not only grades, even grading companies. So I thought this was a good video to share with you guys. This is my perspective in the market. If you have a different perspective, I totally respect that. I hope you respect mine. If you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to give it a like, and that makes me very happy. I'm going to be honest with you. Collect things you love, prices what you pay, values what you get. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.